Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a really fascinating, maybe slightly unsettling topic.
It's definitely unsettling.
It's how deepfake technology bumps up against, well, the philosophy of science. Specifically, Karl Popper's big idea, falsifiability.
Right, the cornerstone of how science should work, according to Popper.
We've been looking into sources exploring this clash. The central question really is, what happens to truth when faking reality becomes so easy, so convincing?
Popper's whole argument rests on trying to prove theories wrong. That's how we learn how science moves forward.
So you have this technology designed to create essentially perfect illusions.
Exactly. And it runs headfirst into a philosophy that depends on being able to spot the flaws, the falsehoods. Our sources suggest this isn't just a minor issue. It could be a fundamental crisis.
It makes you ask, right? If you can't trust your own eyes or ears anymore, what's left?
What can you trust? It's a serious question.
Okay, let's dig into that. Deepfakes, their goal is to be indistinguishable from reality. How does that specifically challenge Popper's falsifiability principle?
Well, the core problem is that they make falsification incredibly difficult, maybe even impossible in some cases.
How so?
Think about it. If any piece of video, any audio clip could be a sophisticated fake, how do you definitively disprove anything based on that kind of evidence?
You can't just point to the video and say, see, this proves it wrong.
Precisely. The evidence itself becomes suspect. Imagine trying to debunk, say, a faked political scandal video. The denial might sound weak against such convincing proof.
Popper might have seen this as a kind of poison.
I think that's a fair way to put it. Our sources suggest he'd likely view it as epistemic poison, something that fundamentally corrupts our ability to gain reliable knowledge, to even have a rational debate.
Because the foundation is shaky.
If the evidence is potentially manufactured, the whole process of critical discussion, of testing claims, it just crumbles, you know?
That leads us straight into the societal implications.
Right.
Popper was famously worried about totalitarian regimes, his idea of the open society.
Yes, and deepfakes seem almost tailor-made for undermining that.
How would an authoritarian state use this?
Oh, the possibilities are chilling. Rewriting history with fabricated footage, creating fake evidence to discredit opponents or justify crackdowns, suppressing dissent by claiming any critical video or audio is just a deepfake.
Plausible deniability becomes a weapon.
A very powerful one. It allows them to muddy the waters, to destroy trust in any information source, and ultimately to shut down the critical thinking and open discourse that Popper saw as essential for a free society. Manufactured truth could become the norm.
Okay, flip side. Let's imagine Popper was somehow involved in, say, setting ethical guidelines for developing this tech today. What would he push for?
Given his absolute focus on falsifiability, he would almost certainly demand ways to verify, to falsify the deepfakes themselves.
Like watermarks.
Maybe more robust than that. Things like strong cryptographic signatures embedded in media, digital proof of origin that's extremely hard to fake.
Okay.
He'd likely champion open source auditing too, making the code behind the tech public so it can be inspected for hidden manipulation tools. Transparency would be key.
And clear standards.
Absolutely. Clear scientific standards to distinguish synthetic media from genuine empirical evidence. Maybe even pushing for something like a self-discrediting deepfake. Meaning, a piece of synthetic media is considered fake by default unless it passes rigorous, verifiable checks proving it's authentic. The burden of proof shifts.
It's interesting. There's almost a meta-irony here, isn't there? Popper, this champion of objective truth found through error correction.
Yeah, very much an Enlightenment thinker in that sense.
Facing a technology that seems to embody a more postmodern view, where reality itself feels constructed, malleable.
It does seem that way on the surface. Postmodern thought often plays with the idea that truth isn't fixed, that it's shaped by narratives, by power, and deepfakes literally let you construct reality.
But Popper wouldn't buy that interpretation.
Almost certainly not. He'd likely see that as dangerous relativism. For his philosophy to work, for us to get closer to truth by eliminating errors, there has to be a stable, objective reality we're testing against.
So blurring that line is counterproductive.
He'd probably argue it actively undermines our ability to make progress, to have rational inquiry at all. It's not just a different perspective, it's disabling the tools we need to understand the world.
How does this thinking extend to AI ethics more broadly, beyond just deepfakes?
I think it suggests a kind of falsifiability principle for AI systems too?
Meaning, we need to be able to check AI's work.
Yes, exactly. We shouldn't just accept the output of an AI, whether it's a medical diagnosis or a financial prediction, as infallible truth. We need the ability to audit it, to challenge its conclusions, to understand how it got there.
So transparency and accountability are crucial.
Absolutely. It's not just about making AI more realistic or more powerful. It's about ensuring we can still scrutinize and, if necessary, correct its outputs. Accountability has to be built in.
So wrapping this up, Popper's overall take on deepfake technology would likely be less about the tech itself and more
About building the safeguards. Prioritizing our ability to detect deception, to preserve the possibility of falsification, over the quest for perfect, undetectable illusions.
protecting our connection to reality.
Precisely. Because, as some sources suggest Popper might warn, when the fake is indistinguishable from the real, freedom dies in plausible deniability.
That's a stark warning. It leaves us, and you listening, with a pretty important question. In this world that's getting filled with more and more synthetic media, what steps are you taking to keep your critical thinking sharp, to try and discern what's real? Definitely food for thought.